Hey guys, Johnny B here again, and this is another install video for hood latches. These that go right here on your hoods. Sometimes they're required on the track. Sometimes they just look really nice, and sometimes we like to have both ways to hold our hoods down. So I did an install video on that because I wanted to try something different. This is the first time I did it, and I was kind of scared at the beginning because it is carbon fiber. It was I don't even know how you pronounce it, carbon fiber hood that I needed to put the hood latches on. Also ordered them carbon fiber, so I did have to cut into it, which kinda was scary at the beginning, but like everything, it has to look ugly for it to look cool or nice, I guess you could say. So yeah.
Okay, so the first thing that we have to do when installing hood latches is decide where you want them. So after you've decided where you want them, obviously you have to match them up with the bottom frame, because you have to put the bolts on the actual frame so the hood is nice and strongly held down. So after you figured out where you want them, you do what I'm doing here in this portion of the video, and it is drilling the hole for the bolt. So that way you can line it all up, figure out where it's gonna be, and then you start doing the nicer stuff. So here, the bolts are obviously a universal kit, so you have to chop them accordingly to your frame or position where they will be bolted on. So I'm going to be using an angle grinder with a diamond cut blade just to chop it off. As you see, I left the nut on there. You want to leave that nut on there when you're cutting so it can help you remake the thread. Go shaving it off a little bit. And let's cool it off a bit because it's hot before you start working on it. To remove the shavings, I just used a little blade. You can use other things also, whatever comes to mind. So as you see here, I'm putting the thread over it, so remaking the thread. Now you drill into your frame. Obviously you make a nice little incision where you want the bolt to go. So after you've installed the bolt right here, like I'm doing, you want to use a flathead screwdriver to hold it in place, so that way when you bolt it down, it's not turning. That way you line it up perfectly how you want it to be in whichever angle. So I had to test fit quite a bit, as you guys can see here in the video. It was not lining up with the hole properly, so then you just kind of have to adjust it a little bit more, and then if all else fails, you use a hammer. That's right, a hammer. Obviously I'm using a body hammer. It's what they use so that way we don't damage the metals. It's kind of like a rubber hammer. A rubber mallet would also work. So help you kind of bend the frame a little bit just so we can get that perfect angle that we need to install the hood latch bolts. Okay, so there, I just basically taped them on to kind of give me an idea of how I wanted them to look. So there's various ways that you can put them. I installed them with the smaller side forward so that the hood latch opens forward. Other people install them the other way around. It's up to you completely. Whatever the style you decide to go to. It's all based on personal choice. It's not really a specific way that it has to be for a specific reason. I just felt like this looked a little bit cooler. So you can see I have a Sharpie now. So what you want to do is you want to trace it onto the hood. So there's now you guys get to see how I was holding it on there with the tape. So then you trace it. And this is how my trace come out. Obviously you can't really see it in the glare, but here, let me show you guys. There you go. So that I traced the exact skeleton of it, and then you basically surround it with masking tape to make sure that while you're cutting, you know, sometimes the cutting tool slips, sometimes it goes a little bit too far, and it could damage the hood. Carbon fiber or paint, it'll damage it. So you want to make sure you have extra precautions to keep the paint or in my case the carbon fiber, looking good, because once that messes up, it's gonna be a hard fix. So you want to do a good job the first time. Okay. So measuring it up, making sure everything's good. Now you just basically cut. So I used a different cutting machine. I didn't show it in the video because it got dark and the lighting was bad, and I finally got a light. So there it is, the final cut. It was a little bit difficult to get it around those corners, but those circly areas, but you can do it. You just gotta believe in yourself. So there we see that the bolt's going through. It's not popping out farther than the hood because you want it to be invisible. Basically, you want it to be inside the hood latch, so it all fits perfectly. Okay, so now what you do is you drop it in and you test fit, make sure it latches on. So that's what we're gonna be doing right now. Put it on, adjust it a little bit more. As soon as it fits in there perfectly and it latches on every single time and it's not rubbing on the actual hood latch, you're good to go. So here I'm closing it, making sure it locks. As you guys can see, the hood kind of went down a little bit when it locked. Making sure it's sitting flush. If it's not, you might need to move the bolt a little bit more down. So you just do that with adjusting how it's mounted onto the frame. So the masking tape I'm actually gonna leave on there for a while because we need to make holes for the bolts. So I'm just basically gonna drill into there again, and you wanna make sure that, once again, you don't damage anything that it will be visible. So start drilling here. Be very careful that it doesn't move because you could damage, and have to buy the whole piece again. We don't want that. We want it to be done the right way the first time. So just take your time. It doesn't have to be fast. Make sure everything's going good. So now that I drilled the holes, remove the hood latch and basically clean off all the little extra things, all the debris that got left behind when you drilled. We don't want it scratching the paint or the carbon fiber in my case. And now you remove the masking tape. There it is, there's the cut, there's the holes that we drilled. Now all it needs is to get the hood latch bolted on. Let's see how it's gonna look. It's gonna be the first time that we get to see how it looks on there. There you go, test fitting it. Always gotta make sure to test fit it. Make sure it's not rubbing. And there we go. That's how they came out. Let me know what you think of how they look in the comments below. And if you have any questions, go ahead and ask away. I'm always here to help, giving you guys a good little visual there.